Our next witness, Ms. Janice Garcia, comes to us from the Office of the Governor of Arizona. Ms. Garcia is the Deputy Director of the Governor's Division of Children, which works to promote a coordinated and integrated system of care for children, young people, and families. Furthermore, the division also oversees the Juvenile Justice Program. We look forward to learning of Arizona's work in coordinating its child welfare system and the juvenile justice system.
Good morning. I'm honored to have been asked by Chairwoman McCarthy to speak on behalf of the Juvenile Justice Delinquency Prevention Act and the link between child welfare and juvenile justice. As Chairwoman McCarthy mentioned, one of the duties of the Division for Children, which I oversee, is to staff the Arizona Juvenile Justice Commission, which is Arizona's state advisory group on juvenile justice as required by JJDPA. I was also a member of the state advisory group for 6 years prior to coming into my current position. So prior to joining the governor's office, I spent over 20 years working with troubled youth and families in the community. My experience allowed me to see firsthand the devastation caused by young people by abuse, abandonment, and family disruption to young people, and the barriers to improvement caused by a siloed system of services, a challenge throughout the United States. One of the most consistent programs for youth in my years in the community was the Juvenile Justice Delinquency Prevention Program. And I was happy to see that in the most recent reauthorization of the JJDP Act in 2002, this body recognized the link between child maltreatment and juvenile delinquency and articulated requirements that promote the interaction and coordination of child-serving systems. Unfortunately, the additional priorities coupled with the 55% decrease in federal funding over the last 5 years, has hindered efforts by the states to make reforms in this area. So what is the link between child welfare and juvenile justice? In 2005, there were nearly 900,000 substantiated cases of abuse and neglect in the United States. The Child Welfare League of America's review of the research found that victims of child maltreatment are 59% more likely to commit delinquent acts and 1/3 more likely to commit violent acts as adults. Maltreated children are also more likely to experience a range of mental health, substance abuse, occupational, and educational problems during adolescence and adulthood. A National Council on Juvenile Justice study on Arizona youth found that an incredible 73% of youth ages 14 to 17 with an active dependency had at least one delinquency referral, 49% were on probation, and 51% had been detained. Clearly, we must do better to identify and divert these children and youth at the earliest possible point. Arizona has set about making changes in our system to address these issues. In January 2007, the directors of the Departments of Health Services, Economic Security, and Juvenile Corrections and the chair of the Committee on Juvenile Courts signed the letter of agreement supporting duly adjudicated youth and the accompanying framework for interagency practice that was developed by an interagency task force. In May 2006, the Arizona State Advisory Group and the Governor's Division for Children jointly held a Child Welfare Juvenile Justice Summit for 15 multidisciplinary county teams and a state team, out of which the Interagency Coordination and Integration Initiative was established. A set of outcomes and strategies have been developed, and multiple committees are moving forward on priorities, including publication of an information sharing guide, organization of data across systems for better service delivery, and development of prevention initiatives to divert youth from going deeper into the system. Our county teams have also moved forward with on-the-ground reforms, including that Maricopa County has co-located staff from probation, child welfare, and mental health at their juvenile detention centers to develop joint plans of service, and Pima County now holds child and family team meetings in the detention centers to move low and medium risk youth out of detention with appropriate support. The Arizona State Advisory Group has continued to provide leadership and financial support for these efforts. I would respectfully recommend that Congress expedite reauthorization of the JJDP Act, incorporating language being proposed by the Child Welfare League of America and their colleagues to further strengthen and define the expectation for states to address the link between child welfare and juvenile justice, that Congress restore and increase funding of the JJDPA so that states have the resources necessary for studying, planning, implementing and evaluating coordinated and integrated approaches to service. And finally, that OJJDP work together with national leaders, including CWLA and NCJJ, to capture and disseminate effective strategies from the field for collaboration and integration. Thank you for your concern about this issue, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this morning.